Hello students, today in this video we will discuss about development of tongue. Tongue will develop in relation to the pharyngeal arches in the floor of, this is the floor of primitive pharynx. Tongue will develop in relation to the floor of the primitive pharynx. Okay, the first indication in the embryology, you know, they are the pharyngeal arches. This is the first pharyngeal arch, this is the second, this is the third, fourth and sixth. Total are the 6 pharyngeal arches: first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Immediately fifth one disappear. So remaining pharyngeal arches are first arch, second arch, third arch, fourth arch and the sixth pharyngeal arches. And the arches, they are formed due to the elevation of the mesodermal thickenings. So these are the pharyngeal arches and this is the floor of the developing primitive pharynx. So tongue will develop in relation to pharyngeal arches in the floor of the primitive pharynx. As you see here, the first indication of the development of the tongue is the formation of a small elevation in the midline of the floor of the pharynx, and this midline elevation is known as the tuberculum impar. It is a mesodermal thickening in the floor of the primitive pharynx in the midline. The first indication is this. First it will develop, then after immediately after that there is a formation of 2 thickenings, mesodermal thickenings on either side of the first pharyngeal arch, and these thickenings, mesodermal thickenings, are known as lingual swellings. क्या बोलते हैं? Lingual swellings. Immediately behind the tuberculum impar in the midline, one depression is there. That depression is known as foramen cecum. Foramen cecum. Another midline swelling also develop in relation to the second arch. This is the second arch. In relation to the third arch, in relation to the fourth arch. This swelling is known as the hypobranchial eminence. Hypobranchial eminence. It develops in relation to the second arch, third arch and the fourth arch. Midline swelling occur due to the proliferation of the mesoderm. That swelling is known as hypobranchial eminence. Then this hypobranchial eminence, as you see in this figure, this whole hypobranchial eminence is further divided into the 2 parts. One is cranial most. This is the cranial part, and one is the caudal part. This cranial part will remain in relation to the second and the third arch, while caudal part is remain in relation to the fourth arch. This cranial part which remain in relation to the second arch and the third arch is known as copula. C-O-P-U-L-A. Copula. This is known as copula. So these are the some swellings which will form in relation to the pharyngeal arches in the floor of the primitive pharynx. In the relation to the first arch, which swellings appear? Tuberculum impar in the midline and 2 lingual swellings on either side. In relation to the second, third and the fourth, one midline swelling, hypobranchial eminence. This hypobranchial eminence again divide into cranial part in relation to the second and the third pharyngeal arch, and the caudal part which will remain in relation to the fourth arch. The cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence is also known as copula. Now, what happens to these swellings? As you see in this figure, these are the two lingual swellings. One swelling, second swelling. This is the hypobranchial eminence. Okay. Behind that is the foramen cecum. This is this is the tuberculum impar, midline swelling. These two are the lingual swellings, tuberculum impar, and behind the tuberculum impar depression is the foramen cecum. Then the cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence, which is also known as copula, and caudal part of the hypobranchial eminence. Okay, so they are the 5 sources for the development of the tongue. 2 lingual swellings, 1 tuberculum impar, 1 cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence, and 1 caudal part of the hypobranchial eminence. Lingual swellings, they arises from the first pharyngeal arch, tuberculum impar also from the first pharyngeal arch, cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence, they arise in relation to the second and the third pharyngeal arch, and caudal part of the hypobranchial eminence is in relation to the fourth pharyngeal arch. Now anterior 2/3 of the tongue, now the development, anterior 2/3 of the tongue, as you see here, this is the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. It develops from the union of 2 lingual swellings with the tuberculum impar. They will form the anterior 2/3 of the tongue by the union of 2 lingual swellings and tuberculum impar, which is a midline swelling, and they are derived from the first pharyngeal arch. Okay. Now the posterior 1/3 of the tongue, posterior 1/3 of the tongue is this. It is derived from cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence. Cranial part of hypobranchial eminence. Okay, and the posterior most part, as you see here, this is the posterior most part of the tongue, is derived caudal part of the hypobranchial eminence, that is the fourth arch. Okay, and caudal part of the hypobranchial eminence along with the posterior most part of the tongue, it also contribute in the development of epiglottis. Okay, so this is the development of the tongue. Again I'll explain with this figure. This is the first arch, second arch, third arch, and the fourth arch. Anterior 2/3 of the tongue derived from, already told you, by the first arch, by the union of 2 lingual swellings and tuberculum impar in the midline, as shown in this figure. Okay, then this is the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. It is derived from, already told you, cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence, and the cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence derived from cranial part, hypobranchial eminence derived from second and third arch. So posterior most part is derived from the second arch, cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence, which is derived from the second and the third pharyngeal arches. But as you see here in this figure, this third pharyngeal arch, this is the third pharyngeal arch, and this is the second pharyngeal arch, which contribute in the formation of posterior 1/3 of the tongue. As you see here, this third pharyngeal arch will overgrow over the second pharyngeal arch, and by this second pharyngeal arch will get buried under the third pharyngeal arch, and this third pharyngeal arch grows over it and fuses with the mesoderm of the first pharyngeal arch. So second arch will get buried under the third pharyngeal arch. So posterior 1/3 of the tongue is derived from the third arch only, because second arch will buried under the third pharyngeal arch. Okay, and the posterior most part, as you see here, posterior most part of the tongue is derived from caudal part of the hypobranchial eminence, that means the fourth pharyngeal arch, and along with posterior most part of the tongue, fourth pharyngeal arch will also contribute in the formation of epiglottis. Okay, so first arch will contribute in the formation of anterior 2/3 of the tongue. First arch, again I write here, anterior 2/3 tongue derived from first arch, posterior 1/3 tongue derived from third arch, posterior most part of the tongue derived from fourth arch. Okay, if we come to the, along with the embryological origin, if we come to the nerve supply of the tongue, because sometimes it is asked, explain the nerve supply as per the embryological origin. You already know the first arch nerve is the lingual branch of mandibular nerve, is a post traumatic nerve, and cauda tympani nerve of seventh cranial nerve is pre-traumatic nerve for first pharyngeal arch. Lingual nerve and cauda tympani nerve. So they will supply the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Lingual nerve carries general sensations of anterior 2/3 of tongue, while cauda tympani branch of facial, it carries taste sensations from anterior 2/3 of tongue, because they are derived from the anterior 2/3 of the tongue is derived from the first pharyngeal arch, and the nerve of the first pharyngeal arch is the lingual branch of the mandibular nerve, which is a prostraumatic nerve, and the cauda tympani branch of the seventh cranial nerve, which is the pre-traumatic nerve for first pharyngeal arch. Now we come to the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Posterior 1/3 of the tongue is derived from the third pharyngeal arch, and the nerve of the third pharyngeal arch is glossopharyngeal nerve, that is the ninth cranial nerve. So this nerve, it carries the general as well as spatial. Spatial मतलब taste sensations from posterior 1/3 of tongue. Okay, तो ninth nerve क्यों लेके जाती है sensations? Because the ninth nerve is the nerve of the third pharyngeal arch, and posterior 1/3 of the tongue is derived from the third pharyngeal arch. Why it is not from the second? Because second arch buried under the third arch. That's why second arch will not play an important role in the nerve supply of the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Okay, So third, posterior 1/3 of the tongue is derived from the third arch, and the nerve of the third arch is the ninth cranial nerve. So this ninth cranial nerve will carry both general as well as the spatial, that means taste sensations, from the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Now we come to the posterior most part. Posterior most part of the tongue is derived from fourth arch, and the nerve of the fourth arch is the superior laryngeal branch of vagus nerve. Okay, so posterior most part of the tongue is supplied by the superior laryngeal branch of the vagus nerve, because it is a nerve of the fourth arch. Now we come to the muscles of the tongue. The musculature of the tongue, embryologically it is derived from occipital myotomes, and the nerve of the occipital myotome